Hi, my name is Andy Andrews. I'm a husband and a father. I've written some books, a few of which have been moderately successful. In a national discussion of authors, however, or celebrity or money or power, I would not be mentioned. Through the years, I've made a search for wisdom and common sense my personal quest. An important part of that quest has been working to help families, businesses, and communities harness that wisdom and common sense for their own benefit. Specifically, I pray daily for the kind of understanding that will allow me to explain complicated and confusing subjects in simple ways. You see, I've become convinced that it's only when people clearly understand that they begin to sense an unusual power within themselves. It is at this particular point in time, regardless of a person's age, gender, race, or long-held beliefs, that a stunning realization begins to occur. Simply put, this is the moment when an individual recognizes the basic truth that they possess the ability to make choices that will change their own lives without waiting for someone else to do it. From that moment on, the understanding they have gained allows them to utilize common sense and wisdom to deliver personal peace and prosperity for themselves and their families. That brings me to today, the looming 2020 presidential election, and perhaps the most critically important issue I have ever attempted to explain: why you must vote. First, allow me to say that I will not attempt to sway your vote one way or the other. Frankly, I'm not an admirer of either candidate. I never have been. My wife and I have two sons, both young adults now, and like you, we're aware that virtues like respect for others and polite behavior are a reflection of character. That said, it is ironic that many of us now find ourselves in the position of choosing a president of the United States whose conduct we would not tolerate in our own family. But choose we must, for this is the election of a lifetime. Isn't it odd, however, that it has virtually nothing to do with the personality who will serve as our president? This election is about the Supreme Court. This time, forget everything else. Forget crimes that may have been committed, forget any alleged sexual assault, the possibility of treasonous acts or fraud, forget what anybody's children may or may not have done, forget speaking mistakes, interruptions, bad language. And while you might remember the kid who was the bully in the 6th grade, you need to forget about any childish behavior you may have observed during the presidential campaign. Think only of the Supreme Court. For right now, you really are about to determine what America will be like for the rest of your life. This is also true concerning the lives of your children, and probably your children's children. As a people, we have not had a choice before us with more power to heal or destroy since the Civil War. The United States is clearly about to move down one of two roads. Once the Supreme Court is in place, according to our country's Constitution, neither Congress nor Senate has the power to change that path. And if you know what you believe, no politician's talking points will be able to disguise the direction your country is taking. By midnight on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, all the votes will be in, and you and I will have chosen which of two people will become president. Once inaugurated, for the next 4 years, only the President of the United States can select for nomination the person who will fill any vacant seat on the Supreme Court. Understand this: it will be the Supreme Court justices chosen during the next 4 years who will tip the scales toward what you believe is right and true or away from it. Laws will be upheld or overturned. New laws will be imposed or not. In either case, the way you are allowed to live will soon be determined by America's Supreme Court. The court's majority will be determined by the person elected president in the upcoming election. While we live in uncertain times, there is one thing about which you can be certain. After Tuesday, November 3rd, you and I will have no more say in the matter. Lest you think this all might be temporary, able to be shifted or redone by whoever we elect president next time, it's critical to understand that whichever of the two candidates we elect this time will set the Supreme Court in stone for generations, making not only one Supreme Court appointment, but perhaps as many as 3. Considering retirements and death, let's look at the court's present makeup. Currently, there is one vacant seat, that of Justice Ginsburg, who recently died of pancreatic cancer. Of the 8 remaining justices, only 3 are under 65. The ages of other justices range up to and beyond 70, topping out with Justice Stephen Breyer, who is 82 years old. Supreme Court appointments are for life. That means that the justices serve until they resign, retire, or die. Therefore, any president with the opportunity to appoint even one member of the court is able to sway the direction of the country, especially in the situation that currently exists. The court has voted 5-4 on crucial decisions for years. No matter whomever replaces Ginsburg, the 5-4 split will likely remain the same. During the next 4 years, however, the elected president will most certainly appoint another Supreme Court justice. The votes on crucial decisions could then be decided by a vote of 6-3. The opportunity to appoint even another justice to the court will allow whomever we elect on November 3rd the ability to cement the Supreme Court's voting, think 7-2, for as long as you live. It all comes down to this. Do you want to say in what your everyday world will be like? Well, there are only 2 choices: the current president or the challenger. I know, and I'm sorry. You are furious at being put in the position of having to choose between the lesser of 2 evils. I do understand. It is infuriating. But in reality, the lesser of 2 evils is the only choice we've ever had in any election that's ever been held. Why? Because Jesus has never run for office. That leaves only the rest of us, you and me, well-meaning, good-hearted people who, despite our best intentions, sometimes have still managed to lie and cheat and say things out loud for which we remain grateful to this day, no one recorded. Therefore, it's time to put away our self-righteousness. It's time to wake up and understand that we have no ability, 0, to make either candidate feel our contempt. Even if we could, they wouldn't care. One of these 2 people will be the next president of the United States. Neither you nor I will change that fact by voting for Kanye West or Jesse Ventura or Yosemite Sam or by not voting at all. The only way you can possibly vote this time and have it matter is to understand that while there might be a person's name on the ballot, you are voting for the America in which you wish to live. And that America will be defined by the Supreme Court justices chosen by one of these 2 major candidates. For once in our lives, whatever president we have to watch on television for the next 4 years doesn't matter. We've all suffered through 4 or 8 years of one presidential face or another, and this time we'll do it again. But that face will not matter. In the long run, that person's name won't even matter. Only the justices that person chooses for the Supreme Court matter now. Remember that whoever the President of the United States is, whoever the president might ever be, despite the amount of television time they get, no matter the round office, and forget the cool plane. That person's actual power, his or her ability to truly affect your day-to-day life, is extremely limited. Congress, Senate, the will of the people, the approval of the media, all are very real factors that prey upon a president's ability to do as he wishes. The Supreme Court, on the other hand, is under no such constraints. Once appointed, there is virtually no oversight or even influence that can be brought to bear. The media? Polls? Voters? There is no quarterly review, no upcoming election. A Supreme Court justice is appointed for life. His or her word is quite literally the law. And these are the big laws, the ones that determine your daily existence. The only chance you have to shape those laws is by electing the person who chooses the members of the court. So when you vote, hold your nose if you wish. But there are only two choices. Here's how to decide who gets your vote. Both major candidates have announced exactly the kind of justices they will choose for the Supreme Court if elected. One candidate has even listed the names of the judges from which the choice will be made. Your choice will be plain to see and easy to make by examining what you believe. Again, remember, your choice is not about a person. In the most literal sense, your choice is about the America in which you wish to live. Knowing there are many issues that will be determined by the Supreme Court, let's quickly examine only a few. From here, you'll easily understand the direction you wish to take. The Second Amendment. Do you believe that guns are inherently bad? Do you believe that there are too many guns? That gun manufacturers should be held responsible for what individuals do with them? And that the government needs to further restrict the public's right to own and use guns? Do you believe that criminals will obey signs that declare no guns allowed? Do you believe that when a gun is used to kill an animal, it is the fault of a person? But when a gun is used to kill a person, it is the fault of a gun? If so, you must vote for Joe Biden. He has publicly promised to appoint judges that will make those beliefs the basis for laws by which we will live for the rest of our lives. Do you believe strongly in the right to bear arms? Do you believe that further restrictions on guns will not restrict criminals, but will instead block the access honest citizens have to firearms and ammunition? Do you believe that a gun, while dangerous, is a tool, like a car, and that when used incorrectly, it is the fault of a person, not the fault of a tool? If so, you must vote for Donald Trump. He has publicly promised to appoint judges that will make laws according to this line of thinking. At that point, we will live with those laws for the rest of our lives. This Second Amendment issue will be determined by the Supreme Court. Abortion. Do you believe that a fetus growing inside a pregnant woman is a tissue mass? Do you believe that a woman should be able to eliminate that tissue at any time during the 9 months it is inside her body? Do you believe that tissue mass only becomes a human being once it is outside the woman's body? Are you willing for your tax dollars to be spent for the purpose of allowing anyone who chooses, for whatever reason, to rid their body of that tissue mass? Do you believe that counseling centers, funded by churches, set up for the purpose of encouraging adoption, should be forced by law to also offer abortion counseling as an alternative? If so, you must vote for Joe Biden. He has publicly promised to appoint judges that will enforce these beliefs into laws, by which you and I will live for the rest of our lives. Do you believe that a fetus growing inside a pregnant woman is, in fact, a baby growing inside its mother, and is, in fact, already a human being? Do you believe that life has a purpose, and that from the moment of conception, each and every child is unique and valuable? Do you believe that you should not be forced to fund Planned Parenthood, the largest abortion provider in America, with your tax dollars? Do you believe more than 62 million government-approved abortions in the United States since 1970 are enough? If so, you must vote for Donald Trump. He has publicly promised to appoint judges that will reduce, restrict, and eventually do away with abortion on demand, enforcing these beliefs into laws by which you and I will live for the rest of our lives. And this abortion issue will be determined by the Supreme Court. Immigration. Do you believe the United States should move toward a policy of open borders? Do you believe undocumented persons in the United States illegally should be protected from deportation, allowed to work in America without paying taxes, be issued driver's licenses, given food stamps, provided with free medical care, and a public education for their children? Do you believe that if someone wishes to enter our country, they have every right to do so without explanation? Do you believe that if a non-citizen penetrates America's border by violating the law, but manages to hide from authorities for a certain length of time, they should be allowed citizenship? If so, you must vote for Joe Biden, for he has publicly promised to appoint judges that will reverse laws currently on the books regarding immigration. Under the framework described in Biden's Unity platform, an agreement he reached with Bernie Sanders and announced to the press on July 8th, law enforcement authorities will be denied the ability to detain anyone caught crossing the border, essentially forcing the Border Patrol to release illegal aliens into America without any record of who they are or knowledge of where they are going. These laws, Biden assures us, will eventually lead to open borders and a new way of life for us all. Do you believe that America's borders are her last line of defense? Do you remember what happened to the vast Roman Empire when its government declared open borders for the Goths in 376 AD? After having successfully managed immigration for several centuries, it took a mere 6 years for the grandeur that was Rome to usher in the rubble of the Middle Ages. Do you believe that the word illegal means exactly that? Do you believe that only legally recognized citizens of America have a right to her benefits and protection as provided by law and your tax dollars? Do you believe America not only has the right, but the responsibility to carefully vet those who seek to enter our country? If so, you must vote for Donald Trump, for he has publicly promised to appoint judges that will make and defend laws in line with those beliefs. Regulatory oversight. Do you believe the government is more capable than you are of determining how your money should be used? Do you believe the government is better able than you are to determine how your children should be educated? Do you believe the government should determine who can do business and with whom, to the point of forcing a person to do business with someone they'd rather not do business with? Do you believe a person should be given an advantage over others because of what they believe, what they are, or what they believe they are? If so, you must vote for Joe Biden, for he has publicly promised to appoint judges who will create laws to support these beliefs and laws to punish those who do not agree. Do you believe that you should be allowed to decide what's best for your family? Do you believe that if you earn a certain amount of money, you should be able to keep and reinvest the largest part of it to benefit those things you decide are most important to you. Do you believe the government has been created to serve the people, not the other way around? If so, you must vote for Donald Trump, for he's publicly promised to appoint judges who will restrict the government's ability to decide how much of the money you earn you will be allowed to keep. These are only a few examples of the two pathways from which you will choose on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. Religious freedom, taxes and the economy, healthcare. In every category you examine, you'll find drastic differences in the America that will be shaped by this election. Don't be fooled. How you vote matters because the Supreme Court matters. Incidentally, if you're interested in exactly what each candidate will do regarding the Supreme Court if elected, both men were asked. Donald Trump responded with a list of 46 potential nominees from which he publicly promised to choose. You can examine that list on ballotpedia.org. When Joe Biden was asked the same question at a campaign stop in Nevada, he responded by saying, "You'll know my opinion after the election is over." The KTNV reporter rephrased the question to include reports of Biden's interest in packing the Supreme Court, but the candidate continued to refuse to provide an answer. The KTNV reporter said, "Well, sir, don't the voters deserve to know?" Joe Biden replied, "No, they don't." You can examine the video of his remarks on ktnv.com and almost every national news source on the internet. Before closing, allow me to tackle one more quick subject that might have bearing on your vote. It concerns a lack of understanding I had for years about something very basic, and several times it actually caused my own vote to be wasted. Here it is. Have you ever heard anyone say, "I don't vote according to a political party. I vote for the person"? Yeah, I have too. I even said that myself. It just sounded so impartial, so smart. Then I got taken to school on how that really works. Some years ago, I had a good friend from another state privately tell several of his buddies that he was about to publicly announce a run for Congress. I was one of those buddies. Our jaws dropped, however, as he told us he would run as a candidate for the political party we all knew he had opposed his entire life. "It's the only way I can win," he explained. "That congressional district won't elect anyone from the other party." After listening to some initial grumbling, we became convinced. "Guys," he had said, "you know me. I'm the same person I've always been. You know what I believe, and when I get to Washington, I will vote my conscience. I will fight for the same values and beliefs you and I have always held." Me? I totally believed him. I knew him, so I helped. Before the election, I mentioned the odd situation to an older, much wiser friend who smiled sadly at me and said simply, "Andy, you have been taken. If your friend is elected, he will immediately turn his back on everything he swore he would do." Well, I thought my older, wiser friend was out of his mind, but he wasn't. My candidate friend was elected and served several terms in Congress, and he did exactly what my older and wiser friend said he would do. He voted against everything I thought he believed. I was crushed. Now, of course, it makes perfect sense because I understand how the game is played. Here's the deal. Don't call it a political party if you don't want to, but understand that there are two teams on the court. They are the only two teams on the court. Let's say that you and I are best friends, and we head down to the YMCA for a game of pickup basketball. You know how basketball's played. There are only two teams on the court. Now imagine that when the sides are being chosen, despite having been best friends for years, you and I end up on opposite teams. As the game progresses, every time you get your hands on the ball, I yell, "Here, hey, here, throw me the ball." But you don't. Even though we're best friends, you never pass the ball to me. Why? Because we aren't on the same team. And while the game is being contested, your teammates will compel you to shoot for their basket. Think about it. Suppose you did weaken just for a minute. Suppose you felt sorry for me. Suppose you did throw the ball to me. At that point, one thing would be certain. You would never get your hands on the ball again because your own teammates would freeze you out of everything. That's the way politics works too, which is why you and I don't want to pay so much attention to the players. It's the team. In the upcoming election, each candidate represents a team. When they make public promises, they're telling us which basket they'll be running toward if elected. So line up what you believe with the team that is headed in the direction you want to go. What kind of America will you have for the rest of your life? This time, you actually get to choose.